What's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about one of the more popular Pokemon to come out of Gen 9. It's Maushold. Maushold may not seem like much of a threat, it's just a cute little family of mice, but it is quickly rising through the ranks in competitive Pokemon VGC and has become one of the most popular options on really solid teams. In fact, all players right now have to consider Maushold as an option to either use or prepare to not just instantly lose to it. So, why is Maushold so strong, and what can you do to make sure that you're prepared for it? Well, the answer to all of those questions will be in this video, so if this sounds like the kind of content that you'd like to see more of, drop a like to let me know, and let me know in the comments if there's a specific Pokemon that you'd like me to cover. Additionally, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell because we have a lot of really cool VGC content coming your way. Are you a Maushold? No, you're not a Maushold. He just jumped into my lap, so I thought I'd introduce you to Archer. Say hi, Archer. He's my favorite Pokemon. At first glance, Maushold really doesn't look all that interesting. It's a mono-normal type, which is about as unoriginal as you can get, and all of its stats are kinda meh, except for speed. Now you might notice that it gets access to Friend Guard. Friend Guard was such a powerful ability in Gen 8 that it kept Clefairy relevant for years. But Friend Guard was also a lot more powerful because of Dynamax. A lot of players were originally kind of interested in Friend Guard on Maushold, but at least right now in the current meta, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. So the answer has to be in its move pool. The first thing I want to point out is its access to Follow Me. Follow Me is arguably the single best supportive move in VGC, and only 3 Pokemon get it: Indeedee Female, Pachirisu, and Maushold. What Follow Me does is it redirects all targeted attacks to the Maushold, basically ensuring that its partner Pokemon is completely safe and even getting in the way of some specific offensive strategies like Beat Up and Justified as a combination. On top of Follow Me, Maushold also gets several other really good supportive moves like Helping Hand, Charm, and Fake Tears, but the big one is Encore. Maushold does have a really good speed stat of 111, allowing it to outspeed most of the meta. And Encore is really strong right now. What Encore does is it forces the target Pokemon to reuse the move that it's just used 3 additional times. This is especially powerful on setup Pokemon, and right now, Bulk Up Annihilate, Bulk Up Ceruledge, and Iron Defense Corviknight and Garganacl are all reasonably common. Encore messes with all of these Pokemon. 3 turns in VGC is an eternity, and if you get Encored into a setup move, your opponent has way too much time to just reposition in a way that will allow them to remove the threat before it's even done with the Encore. So even though you keep getting boosts, none of them is really gonna matter. Encore and Follow Me are both so strong on Maushold that my opinion is that every Maushold needs to be running Encore and Follow Me. So, in that case, this thing must just be a supportive monster, right? It's just the best supportive Pokemon in the format? Well, yes and no. I think Moxie Boosted referred to Maushold as a Clefairy with a machine gun, and I think that is an extremely accurate description because of Maushold's signature move, Population Bomb. Population Bomb is a 20 base power move that hits up to 10 times. The downside here is that it has 90 accuracy on each individual hit, and when one misses, the move ends. So, the chances of hitting it 10 times are really not all that high. Unless you run the Wide Lens item. Wide Lens raises Population Bomb's accuracy from 90% per hit to 99% per hit, meaning that hitting it 10 times will happen more than 90% of the time, giving you a pretty reliable 200 base power move. 200? Wait, no, that's not even correct, is it? Yeah, that's right! Maushold gets Technician as its hidden ability. We talked about how Friend Guard isn't really that good right now. You know what is good? Technician Population Bomb. What Technician does is it gives a 50% damage boost to any move that is under 60 power, which includes Population Bomb. Suddenly, you're seeing why this thing is such a threat. Maushold has all of the supportive options that it needs to enable its partners to do their job well, while also just having a 300 base power move that hits for the full power over 90% of the time. Even with these base stats, that makes Maushold an absolute menace to deal with. Let me show you some damage calculations. Are you struggling to get around the focus sash on a lot of these Meowscarada running around? Have no fear. Population Bomb does almost 200% to the Meowscarada. Are you annoyed that Hydreigon is such a good Pokemon that it's on every team? Don't worry, Population Bomb does 125 to 150% to their unterastalized Hydreigon. Armarouge is a really solid Trick Room setter. How do you get around that? Well, even with almost full investment in HP, Population Bomb is doing 95 to 116%. Armarouge is a really solid Trick Room setter with good defensive bulk. How are you going to deal with it? Population Bomb does 95 to 116%. Even against a fully defensive invested bold Indeedee with max HP and max defense, Population Bomb is guaranteed to remove the Indeedee. This move is actually ridiculous. And if you're ever worried about your opponent throwing down screens or something, guess what? You can still terrastalize the Maushold. Oh, your Indeedee has screens? Let me just terrastalize and do a minimum of 90% still. It's actually insane how much damage potential this one move has. What's even crazier is that even with almost no investment in attack, Maushold will still pick up most neutral KOs, as long as they're not fully invested. This is a no-bulk Hydreigon that will almost definitely go down to just a 36 attack EV Maushold. Obviously, the more frail ones like Meowscarada will go down as well. So, there's a lot of different ways that you could build this Maushold to make sure that you're getting the most out of it for your team. You can run a bulky Maushold with Technician Wide Lens Population Bomb and still take advantage of knowing which Pokemon you're going to KO, and just maybe not firing off a Population Bomb on the ones that you're not going to KO, like a full bulk Indeedee, for example. The reason why Maushold is such an incredible Pokemon is that it's a support Pokemon with all of the tools that the ideal support Pokemon needs, but it can one-shot stuff in the meta. And that is something that we just don't really see, and it makes Maushold incredible. If we take a look at some of the recent tournament results that happened over the last weekend, we can see that Maushold is starting to creep into the more successful teams. It's still not the most used Pokemon, but we can see here it did win the Tainan Regionals over in Taiwan, and also got another top cut finish over here with almost the same 6. Over in the Nino Pokebros Friendly Fight Tournament, Joe Ugarte got top 4 with one, while Artcar got 2nd place with his Maushold. And then finally, even in the Victory Road Tournament, we could see that Maddie Morgan got top 4 with the Maushold, while Shi Yantong also got top 4 with a different Maushold team. Some other Mausholds were in and around this top 16 as well, just showing that this Pokemon has what it takes to go very deep in every tournament that it's brought to. To give you guys a visualization on the rise of Maushold, let's look at some usage statistics. In the Limitless tournament, about 2 weeks ago at this point, Maushold was used on 8.79% of teams, down at the 22nd most used Pokemon. That's pretty respectable, but it's nothing too crazy, and in fact, we can see that it didn't even get to day 2 in all that many cases. Only 2 Mausholds made it to day 2 of that tournament. But, if we look at the Nino Friendly Fight Tournament, Maushold suddenly up to 23% usage with 46 different teams running it. And in fact, that usage stat goes even higher if we talk about Top Cut, where 26% of teams had a Maushold. So you can see that it is very clearly on the rise. If this trend keeps, it will be a top 5 Pokemon by this time next week, and it deserves to be. So, how do you deal with Maushold? I guess first I should talk to you about how to run this Pokemon. As for EVs, we discussed it a little bit earlier, but you can kind of build this in however fits your team best. You can invest a lot of attack in it to guarantee as many KOs as possible. You can invest a lot in bulk to make sure that you're surviving when you're using Follow Me. But this is probably the best moveset for you to go with. Wide Lens Technician, and then Follow Me, Population Bomb, Encore, and Protect. So how do you deal with it? Well, thankfully, I have a very quick answer for you that you could pretty easily slot onto basically any team. It's a secret trick that the Big Mouse lobby has been trying to silence me for, but I will not be silenced. Rocky Helmet. So, Rocky Helmet is sometimes a little bit of a niche item in VGC. If you're a newer player, you might not be familiar with this one. So what does it do? Well, what Rocky Helmet does is every time the holder is hit by a contact move, the attacker loses 1/6 of its max HP. That's not every time it's attacked, that's every time it's hit. That means it procs 10 times for Population Bomb. Or rather, it procs 6 times, because then the Maushold is removed. So this is really cool, because it does 2 things, right? It removes the Maushold, but it also allows you to survive the hit, because you're not getting the full 10 hits of damage. I love to run this on Amoonguss, because Amoonguss is already an extremely good Pokemon in this format. You can use it for so many different things, and you just throw the Rocky Helmet on with Rage Powder, and Maushold is suddenly not really that big of an issue anymore. The nicest thing about running it on Amoonguss is that Amoonguss is so bulky in this format, where the power level really isn't insanely high yet, that it doesn't really need to run a specific item. A lot of Pokemon have items that they really want to run. You've got Clear Amulet, Garchomp, things like that that are not a necessity, but are highly recommended. Amoonguss doesn't really have one of those. It's just kind of there. You're like, you're dying to fire moves, you can throw an Aqua Berry on it. You're not really struggling with anything, you can throw a Citrus Berry on it. And because of that, it makes it the perfect target for Rocky Helmet, because you don't really lose anything by putting a Rocky Helmet on it. If you don't really have space for an Amoonguss on your team, that's fair enough. There's also some other ways that you can run the Rocky Helmet item. I like to run it on a Pokemon that has a resistance to the move, so it doesn't take too much damage, as well as the ability to heal itself up. Something like an Iron Defense Roost Corviknight or an Iron Defense Recover Garganacl is a really, really good thing to slot a Rocky Helmet on if you have it on your team. Future Pengy here, just to clarify on this one. With the Corviknight and the Garganacl, the idea is you switch it into the Population Bomb, so it does require a little bit of, reading your opponent's moves, but yeah, if you switch in a Corviknight or a Garganacl to Population Bomb, goodbye, Maushold. If you can't find the space for one of these Pokemon or for a Rocky Helmet on your team, you can kind of patch the matchup by running a Ghost type or two, or even running a resisting Terra type like Steel on something like a Hydreigon. The biggest weakness of Maushold is that it is forced to hold this wide lens, and as we talked about before, it doesn't have the bulkiest stats. So if you can find a way to hit the Maushold hard, chances are you're going to have a pretty easy time removing it. If you're running a Tatsugiri team with a Hydreigon on it, for example, you could go for Icy Wind to slow down the Maushold and then just nuke the Maushold with a Draco Meteor. There's a lot of different ways that you can play around the Maushold, but you have to keep in mind its weaknesses: Population Bomb making contact, and the fact that it will never be holding a Focus Sash. So that's Maushold. If you haven't tried it yet, I highly recommend using it, because there's just something so evilly satisfying about clicking the Population Bomb button and then watching your opponent's HP just slowly drain, hit by hit, knowing that your opponent knows that they're gonna lose that Pokemon at the end of the turn, but they just have to sit there and watch as it slowly drains of its life force. Oh, sorry, got a little bit distracted there. But yeah, I hope that I was able to enlighten you a little bit on how best to run Maushold if you want to be the one who's doing the evil thing, or how best to counter it if you're a force for good in the world. This is my first time doing a meta video, so I hope you liked it. Let me know if you did. Let me know if there's something you think I could improve with the format. But until then, I hope you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, whatever it is wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you guys next time.